Okay, let's start. Good evening to you all.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, welcome to you all for the lecture of Educational Measurement and Evaluation for BEd and PGDE students, which is a 4-credit course unit, which is conducted by Apex University. I am Nadisha Fonseca. I am the lecturer who conduct this course for you. So I invite all of you to actively participate the lesson. It will be beneficial for both of us. If you have any question, feel free to ask from me. There are 20 participants, so let's start. First, I would like to take your attention to the course outline. What are the units we have to cover and all the things. Let me share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So this is our course outline. Uh, First one is educational measurement, assessment and evaluation. Then taxonomy of educational objectives. You know there are 3 taxonomies. And then measurements in cognitive domain. Then how to develop the test items to measure the cognitive domain measurements, to take cognitive domain measurements. So the 5th one is measurements in affective domain. So 6th one, measurements in psychomotor domain, then types of assessment and evaluation, then correlation and its uses, organizing classroom tests. So here correlation and its uses, there we have to use simple statistics there, not too hard. Then the 9th one, organizing classroom tests, classroom uses of descriptive statistics, again statistics part. Then there we will discuss about frequency distribution curves, central tendency measurements, and measures of dispersion. So 11th one is comparison and combination of marks. Then normal probability curve and its uses, and then translation of scores. This is the course outline. There are 13 units in this course we have to cover up. So as you know, in this course also you have one written assignment and 5-minute 5-minute presentation. For both of these assignments, we'll assess 40 marks, and then your final examination from 60 marks, and then altogether you can take the grade. So you know all of these things, I think. So here BEd and PGD students are there, I think. PGD means already you are in educational field, and BEd, those who are willing to join educational field. Let's see. First, let's see why we study this and what is the importance of this unit before starting the today's lesson. I want to discuss with you why it is important. First, let's discuss what is education. Can anyone answer? What can you think about what is education? What we expect from education? This is the basic knowledge. Can anyone tell me?
Education can be defined as a process of acquiring knowledge, skills, beliefs, values, and habits.
Yes, very good. Good answer. Yes, it is. In other words, yes, very good. It is the transmission of knowledge, as she said, knowledge, skills, habits, and also character traits. So, in other words, we can call education as the enlightening experiences. So, through education, we want to enlighten our knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behavioral patterns like that. Very good answer. Education can be formal, informal, non-formal. There may be several ways. So education means not only from schools, that is given from schools. Where we start education, where we start our education, or where we start our learning, from where?
From womb top.
Pardon?
From womb top.
Yes, very good. Very good, miss. From womb top. Yes, from the birth, or before birth, we start learning. So it ends from the death. Very good. So it is the modification. So through learning, we modify our behavior with experiences. So it is, like she said, it is the acquiring of knowledge, behavior, values. Yes. So then students are the learners. So they engage in studies. So they are the person who are going to acquiring learning knowledge, like that. So we all are students in all of our lives, lifelong, all of our life. Then so why do you think the educational measurement, assessment, evaluation, why we need this? Why is it important for education? Can anyone tell me?
To assess the progress of the students.
Yes, very good. To assess, to evaluate, to get the idea of the progress of the students, those who are engaging with learning. Very good. So you have basic knowledge. Let's move on to the today's topic. Let me share the screen. Yes, this is today's lesson is our session 1. So from session 1, as I told you earlier, it is educational measurement, assessment and evaluation. First, I would like to give you an introduction. Then we will discuss about educational measurement, then educational assessment, educational evaluation, and then finally relationship between measurement, assessment and evaluation. Let's move to the first slide. So this is the introduction. As all of you said, teachers mainly depend on and familiar with data-driven instructions because they want the level of the students. As I did now, I wanted to know whether you are basic knowledge of education, like that. So all of the teachers know what their students already know. Then teacher wants to know what they don't know. So teacher is there to bridge that gap. So teacher determine what is the best way to bridge that gap. So the outcome of our education, as we all know, it is the make and observable differences. That means throughout the education, the students' skills, attitudes, knowledge should be changed. To gain that, the teacher wants to know uh, the student's level. To do that, teacher wants to do several measurements, assessments, and evaluations with the students. That is why we study this unit. So measurement, assessment, evaluation are unique terms, but they are interchangeably. At the end of this unit, this session, you can understand that they are interrelated with each other. Let's move into the next slide. So it is what is educational measurement. Before going to the measurement, I would like to take your attention to the test. So Andrew Harrison defined test in 1983 as a test as a natural extension of classroom work, providing teacher and students with useful information that can serve each as a basis for improvement. So, in other words, test is a tool. Test is a tool. It is lower than the measurement, so test is a tool. For example, we in science subjects also we do some experiments, some tests, and also at the beginning of some lessons, teacher can do tests, and also students can do self tests like that. It means if we take the question paper, there may be it may consist of MCQs and structure. So MCQ is a tool or a test, particular tool or a test of that measurement. So test in short form, test is a tool. So then measurement, when we go to the measurement is much advanced than test. According to Smith Stevens in 1946, he defined measurement as a assignment of numbers to objects according to certain rules. Since there are various rules for assigning numbers to objects, there are various forms or scales of measurements. In other words, in measurements, we measure raw scores, percentages, ranks, standard scores like that. So you already know there are that when we talk about data are so raw data. When we talk about raw data, there are two types: quantitative data and qualitative data. So according to your knowledge, measurement, when we go to measurement, can anyone tell me, is it qualitative or quantitative?
Quantitative.
Yes, very good. It is a quantitative. Measurement is a quantitative one. Test can be qualitative or quantitative. But a measurement is all, most probably, measurement is a quantitative one. When we talk about measurements, there are main three elements, important elements of measurements. There may be, first one is measuring instrument, then unit and value. Those are important elements of measurements. Measuring instruments in normal, in basic idea, measuring instruments with means if we want to measure the distance, we can use meter ruler or tape or foot ruler like that. That is the measuring instrument in ordinary use. But in educational measurements, we can't use all such like of instruments always. No. Therefore, in educational measurements, we have to use several measuring instruments. Those are questionnaires, personal interviews, cumulative records, checking written works, reports, progress reports, researchers, notes. Those are the educational measuring instruments. Then unit, that is the standard quantity used for comparison. Sometimes unit may be marks, sometimes it may be a qualitative one, or it may be a quality, like that. Normal unit is, if we measure the distance, it may be meter or centimeter. That is the basic idea. But in educational view, that can be quantitative or qualitative. Like quality, it can be a quality, marks, or scale scores like that. So the value, it is the numerical value obtained after the measuring. As we discussed, measurement is a quantitative one. So there may be a numerical value. Most probably there may be a numerical value. Let's move into the next one. So it is important to discuss about properties of measurement scales. Mainly there are 4 properties, that is, those are identity, magnitude, equal intervals, and absolute zero or true zero. So remember, in our measurements, it is not necessary to have all 4 properties, but there should be 1 or more properties there. It is not necessary to have all 4 properties at one measurement. So we have to understand about that. So the first one is identity. Identity means each value of the measurement has a unique meaning. It means we don't use this identity for our calculations. For instance, if you are asked to fill a form and you have to select your gender. So there maybe you have to select, if you are male, you have to put 1 according to the instruction of the form. Or if you are female, you have to put number 2. So when we fill some other kind of forms like paper marking forms like that, as teachers know about that, we have to fill the paper marking forms. So there we have to select our preference marked district. So they are, as in the instruction, they are given that if you prefer Colombo district, so you have to put 1. If it is Gampaha, we have to put number 2. If it is Anuradhapura or where else, you have to put 3, 4, 5 like that. According to the districts, we have to put our preference number. So those are only for identity. So if it is 1, 2 or 3, there is no any preferences. That is called identity. So our measurement should have such type of identity. So the next one is beyond the identity, sometimes there should be magnitude. It means magnitude is also the number where we have to order our identity according to smallest to largest. For example, usually we rank our students in the classroom as first in the class, second in the class, third, fourth, like that. At the end of the term test, we give positions for the students. So that is called magnitude. But that positions, the interval between the positions are not equal. It means the total marks of the first students, total mark of the first position and second position, assume that it may be 30. And the second position and third position may not be 30. It is totally different one. It may be 50 or something. So we have to understand that in magnitude, we only give the values, but the intervals are not equal. Intervals may not equal. Sometimes it may be real, it may be equal, but intervals are not to be equal. They are for magnitude. For best example is the class position of the students. So you can understand it, the difference between that from third one, that is equal intervals. Equal intervals means they are the difference. Like that we give magnitudes as second one, and there should be equal intervals. It means if we take the numerical values like 4 and 5, the difference is 1, and 76, 77 is also difference is 1. For example, when we take, if we want to measure temperature, so the temperature difference, if the temperature in Celsius is 35. One measurement is 35 Celsius and other measurement is 40 Celsius. So it becomes, so the difference is 5 Celsius there. And if we express it in Kelvin, you know, if we express the measurement in Kelvin, the temperature in Kelvin, assume that if it is 285 and another temperature is 290. So the difference is also 5. So like that, we have to use equal intervals. The best example is Likert scale. You know about Likert scale. As if I give the example, sometimes nowadays we mostly interact with Google Forms. So in Google Forms, you have to select your preference level. Or sometimes we have to select from the there may be from 5 or 6 selections, so we have to select one. Examples, if in the exam in the question, if we task the question, you have to select our weight range. So it can be so answers are given there below 35 kilograms. So 35 to 40 kilograms, 40 to 45 kilograms, 45 to 50 kilograms, and above 50. So see, they are 35 to 40. Interval is 5. 45 to 40 to 45. Interval is 5. So that is Likert scale. So so there may be some responses like that: totally agree, moderate, disagree, totally disagree. So this is called Likert scale. In Likert scale, we have there should be equal. Most probably, we have to use Likert scales in equal intervals. So that Likert scale, Celsius or Fahrenheit scales, and also IQ scales, then time on clock with hands. So the minute hand in the clock, always the time interval is minutes, and the second hand is time interval is 1 second, like that. So those are the examples for equal intervals. Then the fourth one is absolute zero or true zero. Here we have to introduce the zero level. When we go to our school studies, we define the sea level. When we measure the height of the mountains, that is referent to the sea level. So we consider sea level as zero height. So the above sea level, we measure the heights of the mountains, heights of the valleys, like that. So that is absolute zero. The zero means no. The idea is no. It means no money, no behavior, no incorrect, like that. Here we have to, especially we have to understand that in temperature, we don't talk about, in temperature, we can't put into absolute zero. Because as we all study science for O levels, we know the SI unit of measuring temperature is Kelvin. So in Celsius, zero temperature means in Kelvin 273 kelvins. Therefore, we cannot define temperature as absolute zero. Actually, the absolute zero of temperature is 273 Kelvin, not zero. Therefore, remember, we can't put temperature into absolute zero and other measurements. It means we measure our age. We measure our age from birth. So, birth can be considered as zero. Thereafter, above zero values. Our age is above 0 values. When we measure our height, that is, we measure our height using meter ruler or tape. So so the starting one is 0. From 0 level, we measure our height. That is absolute 0. That is regarding absolute 0. So those are the main properties of measurement scales. When we go to types of measurement scales, you can understand all of those 4 properties. So 4 properties are identity, magnitude, equal intervals, and absolute 0. Again, I want to emphasize that all measurements should not have all 4 properties. It should be one or more, but it is not necessary to have all 4 properties there. Let's move to the next slide. Then you can understand what I said. So there are main measuring scales, 4 measurement scales. All measurement scales are based on data. Data are gathered from tests, then measurements. So those data, as I told you earlier, those data can be categorized as qualitative and quantitative. So qualitative data can be grouped. We can't use it for numerical calculations. In quantitative measurements, we can use them for numerical calculations. So our measurement scales, we can divide our measurement scale into 4 parts: nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. So, among them, nominal scale and ordinal scale can be considered as qualitative. And interval and ratio scale can be considered as quantitative. So, let's discuss about nominal scale. Nominal scale is the lowest level of measurement. So, it is the data measured only by name. As we discussed in the previous slide, that comes under identity. Understood? Identity. It means, as I told you in identity, we have to name nominal. It is only by name. We have to select, we can give a name for females as number 2, males as number 1. So reference to the district, Colombo as number 1, Gampaha as number 2, and Radhapur as number 3, like that. Those are only for nominal value, only for names. Only to identity that. Only to give the identity for such type of data. So we can't use them for numerical measurements, arithmetic calculations, we can't use them. So then ordinal is the second measurement. So it is the rank. There, as I told you in the previous slide, it is like magnitude. Can you remember there I took the example as the class position of the students. That is referred as ordinal. So in the position, we give positions to our students in the class based on the term test marks of them. So we give them first position, first, second, third, fourth, and like that. They are the difference between the total marks of first position and second position is not equal to the marks or total marks of second position and third position. That is called ordinal. That is also only for the categorization. Only for the categorization purpose. It is advanced than nominal one, but can't do mathematical calculations using that. That is only to give the identity to the students, to categorize the students. So from that, the students and the parents and the teachers can get the idea of that students in the position of the class. So then interval scale. Interval scale is the third level of measurement. It is beyond ordinal level. So that comes as in the previous slide, it comes under equal intervals. It is a quantitative measurement. As I told you, there we don't define zeros. So there may be below zero values also. Below zero values with equal intervals. As I told you, Celsius and Kelvin temperature. When we measure temperature, we can say the Celsius 0, 30 Celsius, and also minus degrees. Minus 5 Celsius when we go to the ice temperature of ice, it may be minus 5 degrees or minus 2 degrees. So there we discuss about the below zero values, but with equal intervals. If we express Celsius in kelvins, we have to add 273 points there, but the interval is equal. And also IQ scales, also we use interval scale. And as I told you, time on clock with hands, the second hand, minute hand, there we use equal intervals. And also in science, we use pH values. We use equal intervals. So the best example is in our school days in grade 6 to 11 also we use number line. So you know in the number line, the middle one is 0. So the right hand side of the number line is positive values. Left hand side of the number line is negative values. Regarding that, we can measure the depth of the sea like that. So the sea level is 0. Beyond the sea level, that is depth of the sea. Above the sea level, height of the buildings or something. So those comes under interval scale. Think you can understand that. Hope you can understand that. So the fourth one is ratio scale. That is the highest level of measurement. Ratio scale, the main difference between interval and ratio is there we define the absolute zero value. As in the properties slide, I told you about absolute zero value. This one, fourth one. Absolute zero means no one. No money, no behavior like that. So that property comes under ratio scale. It means we can't define something below zero level. So the examples are, I told you when the date we birth is considered as the 0. Thereafter, we measure our age 1 day, 2 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, 2 minutes like that. From ages, from year by year, we measure our age. So we don't measure our age as minus, no. That is there. So when we measure our weight, that is also positive. We measure our weight from a scale. So the scale, there is a scale, the initial point is 0. From 0, we measure the weight. We never talk about the minus weight values. And also height. We measure our height using meter, ruler or scale or tape. So then we measure our height from 0 to positive value. Height cannot be negative values. No. So another example is income earned by a week. Income is also positive value. And years of education, years of schooling, number of children in the class. Number of children in the class also may be 0 or positive value. There it can't be negative value. So those are the examples for ratio. So nominal is the first level and ratio is the highest level. So we can classify them as the Venn diagram like this. So as I told you, nominal is the basic level, then ordinal, interval, and the ratio. So in the ratio, it consists all of the features, most probably all of the features. Nominal, only the nominal features. Ordinal, it can be nominal features and ordinal features. Interval, it can be nominal, ordinal, and interval features also. In ratio, all features are there. And it is not necessary to have all features there. There may be one or more features. So up to that, are you clear? Are there any questions? Please ask me. If you want to share anything, your ideas, please share with us. It is time to you before going to the next slide. Please ask any questions. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, Shafiq share a valuable point. He told me that, would you please share the model question at the beginning for the assignment so that we can take down and highlight the important points. Yes, sure, Shafiq. I will share the model question from next lecture. That is a good point. I can do that. Very good.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Yes. Also, I will after this session, I will share the slides and also there is a note and course outline also. I will share in the group through the coordinator. So if you have any questions, if you want to ask me any questions, so please, if you want to contact me, you can take the contacts from the coordinator. Or in the next session, I will, if you want, I will give you the contact numbers. And please feel free to ask anything. If you have any questions, do you have? And also there are some reference links. I will share it with you. You can refer. When you refer measurement scales, and also these are the main measurement scales which we consider from the educational measurement scale. Educational measurement. But when you refer some other research articles or other websites, you can see there are so many tests. There are so many measurement scales like that. These are the basic. So when you refer, it is okay to refer other scales also. We can take other scales into these four. That's why in educational, in this course unit, we discuss only about these scales. So it seems no questions there. Let's move into the next slide. So there we have to discuss about the types of measurements. The types of measurements. Then before we discuss about the measurement scales, those four measurement scales are also comes under these types of measurements. When we go to types of measurements, there are mainly two types of measurements: physical measurements and psychological measurements. So physical measurements, we can, with the name also, we can identify what is the physical measurement. Example, as I told you, when we measure temperature, height, weight, those are the physical measurements. They are tangible. We can measure using measuring instruments. Using tangible measuring instruments, we can measure physical measurements. So can anyone give me example for psychological measurement? Psychological measurement. Can anyone tell me psychological? Before that, if I help you like this, we know in education, there are mainly 3 domains. What are those 3 domains? We measure objectives of the education also in 3 domains. What are they? Main 3 domains? You know, sometimes you can't, you can't remind about that.
Cognitive,
Yes, very good.
psychomotor, affective.
Yes, cognitive domains, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. So within our measurements, we have to measure the students' all 3 domains, student skills in all 3 domains. So physical measurement, so our types of measurement should touch all 3 domains using physical measurements and psychological measurements. Especially, we can measure our psychomotor domain also using physical measurements. Most probably, in psychological measurements, we measure our cognitive domain and also especially in affective domain. Measurements comes under psychological measurement. As example, if I tell you like that, the measuring amount of work done by individual, that is psychological. We can't measure the amount of work done of individual using measuring scales. No, there we have to use several measuring instruments. In psychology also you will learn about that. So for example, there we have to use some quizzes, scales, schedules, checklists. In our 3rd, 4th, 5th sessions, we discuss about these types of measurements. It means in cognitive domain, we have to use MCQ tests. And structured essays, essay type questions to measure students' cognitive domain. To measure students' affective domain, we have to use checklists. Self-checklists, or teacher can use checklists like that. Or Likert scales. To measure students' psychomotor domain, we have to use performance-based assessments. So those comes under psychological measurements. I think you can understand that. So according to that, our educational measurements are mostly comes under psychological measurements. Physical measurements are, sometimes we have to do physical measurements in cognitive domain and something. Also in practicals, we have to use physical measurements that comes under psychomotor domain. So mainly educational measurements comes under psychological measurement or mental measurement. So educational measurements, as I told you, it consists of all 3 domain measurements: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Let's move on to the slide. Educational measurement. Big sound there. Yes. Educational measurement is the process of assigning numbers to individuals or their characteristics according to specified rules. We measure achievement with a test by counting the number of test items a student answers correctly, and we use exactly the same rule to assign a number to the achievement of each student in the class. So the features in psychological measurements can be used in educational measurements. For that, we can use achievement test, intelligence test, quizzes, scales, schedules, and checklists. So those are educational measurements. So we discussed about all the measurement scales, types of measurements to consider about educational measurements. This is the basic for our other sessions, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions like that. Excuse me. So before going to the next part, that is assessment, let's discuss some ideas on measurements. If I ask you like this, can you classify, how can you classify the student's ID number in nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio scales? How do we classify? Is it comes under nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio scale? Student's ID number. Can anyone tell me?
Nominal.
I think
Nominal.
it's nominal, yes.
Nominal.
Yes, nominal. Very good. Nominal. Then area of the land.
Area,
Ratio.
Ratio. Yes, in that point of view, it can be a ratio, area of the land. If we said that that area is too large, if it is like that, in that point of view, what is that?
Ordinal.
Yes, it is ordinal. Very good. Then so Sunil is the top of the class. What type of scale is that?
physical scale,
Pardon?
physical measurement or scale. Top level is
Yes, top level is
Ordinal.
not physical.
Ordinal.
it is
Yes,
psychology.
it is
Ordinal.
ordinal. Physical means it is top of the class. Physical measurement means physical means there should be a measuring tangible measuring instrument. So if one student is in the top of the class, we measure it using term tests. So that comes under not physical measurement, psychological measurement. So it comes, when we go to the scales, it comes under ordinal scales. As I told you in the example also, the ordinal scale example is we give the position for the students in the class as first, second, third, but the interval is not equal. That is the difference. Understood? That is also psychological measurement. When we, if I tell you that the temperature, the room temperature is 30 degrees. So that is physical measurement. That is physical measurement, and also it comes under what? When we go to the scale, it comes under what scale?
Interval.
Yes, interval scale. Very good. So is it clear for you all? Are there any questions regarding measurements, measurement scales, types? And before going to the measurement, I told you about the test. I told you that test is a tool. If you refer the test, there may be 7 types of tests in the internet. Diagnostic test, achievement test, proficiency test, aptitude test, placement test, personality, intelligence test, like that. So the measurement of the test, quantitative part of the test is called measurement. So I want to clarify that because when you refer those websites, you can see several types of tests, but we don't go to those types of tests here. We need measurements, assessments, and evaluation in our course unit. So test is the basic part. Test already including the measurements. That is why we don't talk about that. Is it clear, you all?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So then let's move into the next slide. That is, what is educational assessment? What is educational assessment? So in Sinhala, we call it takseyuwa. So don't take it as estimation. Estimation is another, we use it in survey site or that site. So in educational site, we take assessment. Don't take it as estimation. Assessment. So let's talk about assessment. So assessment is, as we know, assessment is beyond the measurement. So in short words, assessment is one of the primary tools in education. We gather, as teachers, we all gather information by giving tests, by giving interviews, behavioral some tests, in order to have assessment of the students. So teachers gather. So the assessment should be carefully. We have to design our assessment very carefully because we have to ensure our assessments reliability and validity. These two terms are very important, reliability and validity. So there is another session to clarify about these two terms, reliability and validity. So reliability is the assessment should be reliable one. It means the assessment should be the believable one. And validity is that should not be biased to a particular students, particular part of our during our assessment. Our assessment should be reliable and validity to all of the candidates. So our recent experience in our government, especially in Western Province term test, grade 11, 10, 11 term test, you all may aware about that. There is a big problem in reliability of the assessment. From the Western Province, Education Department, the English, Math, Science papers are out before the exam. So there is a problem in reliability. There may be validity, but there is a problem in the reliability. So that is our previous example. And also in the past A-level, the geography paper is also out. Those type of things are things are happening in the country because of the unwanted competition between the tuition masters and also unwanted competition among the students and also especially among the parents. Therefore, when we do any type, if we prepare our assessment carefully with reliability or validity, there may be some problems. There may be some uncontrollable problems in the system like that. So as educators, we have to aware of those things that is the main drawback of our education system. Actually, that is not only because of the limited government expenditure on education, but it is because of the lack of the national education policy. That is why from regime to regime, from political party to party, from government to government, our education system changed. So think what happened to Mahindodaya labs. It is vanished after the change of the political party. It is vanished. So that is those are the main drawbacks. Because of that, most of our properties are vanishing without any users. So unwanted political interventions, those are the main problems in our country. Sometimes we cannot control those things. But as educators, we know we have to aware of those things. Somehow, someday, if as educators, you may have to intervene from those things and get the correct, our education to the correct path. Actually, if we discuss about assessments, it is very important to share our ideas. That's why I talk about that. In assessments also, as I told you in measurement, our assessment should be touch the students' all three domains, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. But unfortunately, because of that unwanted unwanted competition among the students, parents, and also schools, our assessment methods are designed only to measure the cognitive skills of students. That is why most of the students are left from O levels. O levels with 8 Fs or 9 Fs. But it doesn't mean that the students are not skillful. The students who got F grade for or W grade for maths can have so many skills. But in our education system, it is failed to measure that type of performance of those students. So in that position, in that way, we are failed. Actually, as a country, we are failed. So all of we have that experience. Sometimes the first, usually the child who is first in the class after A levels, he may enter the university, but the child who fails the O level and who enter the tertiary education, and after 3 or 4 years he may become a millionaire or billionaire. That means within the 11 years of education, within the schooling time, within his schooling time, our assessments are failing to measure his abilities, measure that type of children's abilities. So that is the main difference of that is why we are from past decades and also in present days we are in develop as we are there as a developing country. We can't develop because there are so many properties in our country. Nowadays, or most of the children are very, very talented, but our assessment systems are failed to measure their talents. That is why the most of the children are moving away from the O levels. Most of them are not schooling at A levels. So here there may be some A level teachers also, so they can experience the number of A level students in the classes are highly reducing because of that problem, because our educational assessments, our educational objectives, goals cannot address their global and individual needs. So I told you about that. Just think about that. There are those issues. So those are good points to you to take some decisions in education system, and that's why I share those thoughts with you. So let's move into the slides. Educational assessment. We talk about reliability and validity. So we use assessments to make decisions of our students, and we using best at good assessments we can take some decisions of curriculum. We can after each and every national examination, each subject in the educational Ministry of Education, they produce, especially with the Department of Examination, they produce evaluation reports. As teachers, you may aware of that. Using the evaluation reports, they assess their paper. Assume that it is the science paper or something. Using that evaluation report, they give us the basic idea of what are the parts the most of the students in the country understand. What are the parts they difficult? So based on those assessments, the next year paper should be designed. But in recent, when we go to the recent past papers, that is not evaluated. That type of evaluation is not there when we go to the past papers. Therefore, if there is a good assessment, we have to change our curriculum according to those assessments. But in according to our curriculum changes, when we go to our curriculum changes, there are here there are so many experienced teachers, I think. So curriculum changes mean they just change the topic. Topic means if one topic is in 27 part, with the curriculum change, it comes to 10th unit, like that. That is not actually not the curriculum change, that is only the nominal change. So there should be validity more beyond that. So there are so many drawbacks in our system. That is why our curriculum also fail to address our national and global needs. So if there is a good educational assessment, we have to change our curriculum, our instructional methods. As teachers, we have to change our teaching methods. the students should change their the students can change their learning methods also according to our assessments. That is the need of assessment. So let's move to the next slide. So as I told you, using educational assessments, the educators can align instruction with learning goals and standards. We discussed already about those things, and provide feedback and guidance to learners. So the feedbacks means like evaluation reports, I told you. So those based on those reports, we have to have feedback and we have to guide our learners, and also we can guide our teachers to several learning teaching methodologies like that. And also we can track learners' progress and achievement over time. And also adjust teaching strategies based on learners. Motivate and engage learners in their learning. Also evaluate the effectiveness of educational programs as we discussed. Communicate learners' progress and achievement to stakeholders. Means we can communicate the progress of our learners to the community. And also foster the culture of growth and accountability. So when we go to the basic assessment methods, as I told you, our assessment method should touch all three domains. There are we will discuss in our 3, 4, 5 sessions. So there are some assessment methods which are specially designed to measure several domains. So when we go to written test, including MCQ, structured essays, like that, there we measure cognitive domains. Then performance-based tests, as I told you, it measures psychomotor domain. Self-assessment reports, we measure affective domain. Oral communication, also cognitive domain. Observations of student behavior by teachers, that is comes under affective domain. Especially the subjects like maths, science comes under cognitive domain. And also the subjects like aesthetic subjects, religious subjects comes under affective domain. The subjects like, subjects like, yes?
What about the languages, madam?
Languages comes under cognitive, sir.
Okay.
Cognitive domain. So the aesthetic subjects come under psychomotor. Civics education comes under affective domain. So those are the basic assessment methods. And these assessment methods are also included in these different types of educational assessments. We have to classify all of those. These are the basic assessment methods. These assessment methods comes under education, these different types of assessments. So when you ask what are the different types of educational assessments, according to the classification of occasion of assessment, there are 2 types of assessments: formative assessment and summative assessment. And according to the way of interpretation of results, there are 3 types of assessments: norm difference assessment, criterion reference assessments, and ipsative reference assessments. You have to remember all of these things. They are not too difficult. Let's discuss one by one. Formative assessment means during the lesson, during the session, throughout the educational process, we identify the problem of the areas of the students by asking the questions as I did. So during the session, I ask several questions from you. That is to get the feedback from you, which you get my ideas properly, or what are the things I have to improve in my sessions. Those are the uses of formative assessments. So teachers also, during the lessons, a teacher can assign some students to for some several questions. So using formative assessments, we don't grade the students. We don't uh, give positions to the students, just only to get the idea and to improve the lessons, just to take the idea. So, though using those formative assessments, teacher can improve his or her teaching methods, and also learners can identify their learners can attend the lesson. So as said, adult learners, we know we can't actually, especially in online sessions, it is difficult to attend throughout the lesson because of our family problems, our background problems like that. So if I ask some questions, somehow you may attend, you can get idea of this is the today's lesson like that. That is one of the users. So especially in the classrooms, we can use formative assessments to check whether the understanding of the students. So some formative educational assessments are quizzes, exit tickets. Exit tickets means it is like a game. When you search it, you can take it. Exit tickets. So some students ask questions. Some students or teacher can ask some students. So he has to answer that question to sit down like that. So think, pair, share. So teacher can give the chance to group works. So they can share their ideas within the group. So during our session, some of the sessions we have to use our breakout rooms. So that in that form we can give you the chance to share your ideas with your peers, and also self-assessments by the learners can do self-assessments, and also teacher can get the self-assessment. Then peer feedback, also flashcards like that. Those are the assessment methods of formative assessment. So during the lesson, we are using formative assessment. So those are not too difficult. So summative assessment is at the end of the session, or at the end of the term, or at the end of the course unit, you can have summative assessments. It is like your final examination. It is like the term test, or it is like A-level during the 2 years after the course, finishing the course units in A-level for 2-year education. So students have to face national examination like A-level. So that is summative assessment. Let's move into that slide. So summative assessments are used at the end of learning blocks such as unit, semester, year to evaluate students. That is used, that summative assessment are used to grade the students. We give grades. They are designed to measure the outcomes that students are expected to demonstrate at the end of the instruction. They also provide feedback on the effectiveness of the learning process, the quality of the instruction, as the long-term impact of learning. So some of the summative educational assessment examples are, as I told you, final exams, projects, standardized tests, and portfolios. Portfolios are during, if we take the educational time period as 1 year, during the 1 year, the students individually collect their assessments. It means it is assume that it is regarding art. So the student collect his performance during several hours, and at the end of the session or at the end of the year, he can the teacher can evaluate the student using using those records, or he can put an exhibition. So those are called portfolios. Sorry for those terms, so you can get so many ideas about that. So basically, according to the time of the assessment, according to the occasion of the assessment, there are two types of assessment, formative and summative. So the next one is according to the way of interpretation of assessment results, we call it as reference assessments. There are three types of reference assessments: norm reference assessments, criterion reference assessments, and ipsative reference assessments. Let's move into details. So reference assessment means there are assessments we compare students' results. That is, in reference assessments, there are comparison. So let's move into the, there are three types as I told you: norm reference, criterion reference, and ipsative reference. So norm reference means, as I told you, it compares the student's performance regarding the group of the, it means reference to the group of the similar students. Assume that if you take grade 9 students, in the term test, grade 9 students, a term test, assume that it is mathematics. So we give same, in the particular school, we give same test paper for mathematics at the end of the term. So 9A class highest mark is 91. 9B class highest mark is 89. So 91 mark is the highest mark reference to the 9A class students. So 89 is highest mark reference to the 9B class. But when we consider 89 marks reference to 9A, so that may be not highest, that is not highest mark. So that is called norm reference. It means we refer the, we evaluate, we assess the student according to the group, reference to the group of similar students. That is like positions. So if we consider the group, if we consider the group as a school, the grade, if we take grade 9, so the grade 9 students, the first section first, so the total marks of the grade 9 section first, assume that it is 985 marks. For in another school, grade 9 student section first, total marks may be 1,200 marks. So that is, so 985 mark is reference to the group of that school. So 120 marks is reference to the to another school. That is called norm reference assessment, norm-based assessment. So summative assessment comes under this norm-based. So as we discussed, summative is at the end of the term or at the end of the academic year, we give assessment. So that is norm-based. If we take the example as O-level, A-level or scholarship examination, when we consider scholarship examination, that pass marks, pass mark gives according to the district. So that is called norm-based. So in O-level, A-level, we give A passes, B passes according to the student's performance. According to that group of people means grade 11 students in the island. So we give ranks as A, B, C, A, B, C. So those are called summative assessments. Most probably summative assessments are based on competition. In early times, O-level, A-level are criterion based, not summative, not norm-based assessment, but because of the unwanted competition, now it becomes summative. So you can understand it after discussing the criterion reference assessment also. Criterion reference means we measure students' performance against a set of standards, criteria. Standards or criteria that is not based on a group of students' performance, that is based on curriculum or learning objectives. When we go to curriculum of a particular grade of the particular subject, so the curriculum of the whole island is same, no? And the learning outcomes or learning objectives are same to the whole island. So based on those curriculum or learning objectives, we measure the student's performance. We assess the student's performance. That is called criterion reference assessment. So the example, from the O-level, all of the, that is common for all island students, that students should take credits for 6 subjects, including main C's for main 3 subjects, compulsory subjects as Sinhala, Maths, Science, including Maths, Sinhala means basic language, Maths, Science, and mother tongue. They should score 6 C's to enter for A-level examination, to enter for A-level classes. That is criterion reference assessment. That is the criterion, that is our reference level is, the student should have 6 credits. That is criteria. So the example given here is students in a class may be required to score 80% or higher on a particular test before moving on to the next step. And according to our primary curriculum, you know, in the primary curriculum, there are 3 stages. And the first stage is grade 1, 2. So the second stage is grade 3, 4. And the third stage is grade 5. After completing the compulsory assessments of grade 1 and 2, the student can go to the next level. So that is called criterion reference assessment. That doesn't depend on the group of people or group of or the facilities. That doesn't depend on, that depends on the criteria. So formative assessments come under criteria-based assessment. This is very important to evaluate students because that doesn't bias according to the group of the people. When we consider group of the people, there may be some bias because when we consider the facilities of some particular students, that is bias. So formative assessments, so criterion-based assessments are not like that. Therefore, it is very important to evaluate students. But you have to understand that with the competition, there can't be criterion reference assessment. Without competition, there should be criterion reference assessment. That is why in early ages, you know, you may hear about that. You may heard about that. Our O-level, A-level, O-level test, it is called GCSE exam. So those are criterion reference assessment. In grade 9, the students can choose their subject field. So that is criterion reference assessment. But with the unwanted competition and also the tuition mafia, all of the system change, and now it considered as norm reference assessment. Hope you can understand that. So our third type is ipsative reference assessment. So the term ipsative comes from Latin word ips. It means the self. Here it is also important. We don't take any reference. We don't we don't assess the student with reference to other performance, but reference to self performance of the student. It is a type of assessment that compares a student's performance with their previous performance rather than with the performance of others or with a set of criteria. We don't use any criteria. We don't use a reference to the other groups. So in ipsative assessment, we measure students' personal improvement and progress over time. That is the absolute level of achievement. Actually, that is the absolute level of achievement. Most probably, the primary teachers use this type of assessments to assess the students. So primary teachers give individual attention to students to measure their assessments, to get their assessments. It can also help students to identify their strengths, weaknesses, and the set of realistic goals. And also in your next semester, you have, I think you have a 804 credit unit called action research. So in action researchers, we have to use ipsative reference assessment. They are not evaluation, there should be assessment. So sorry, it is a typing mistake. It means in action research, the teacher should select a separate problem regarding the student. Assume that it is there is a student who cannot write the letters, write the words in grade 5. So the teacher can design an action research to improve that student's writing skills. So in the action research, we have to select the particular short time period. It may be 2 weeks or 2 months, like that. During that period, teacher has to design the several assessments. Teacher has to design several learning teaching methodologies, and step by step, teacher individually assess the students. So at the end of the assessment period, there is teacher have to define there is an improvement or not. If there is not improvement as the teacher wish, so teacher can improve his or her action research into second cycle. You can get many ideas about action research in that unit or that course unit also. So there we have, it is important to use ipsative reference assessment methods there. That is one of the usages of ipsative reference assessment. Also, there are some learning disabled students in the classrooms, like autism and also ADHD students, like that. So the doctors give instructions to teachers and parents to take the continuous records of students to check whether there are improvements. If there are improvements, the improvement of the child, the doctor can take assessments, and the doctor can continue change the treatments. If there is not improvement, so the doctor has to take the decision to change the uh, type of the medicines, like that. In that type of view also, we can the doctors and teachers use ipsative reference assessments. So, and also there are some features of good assessments. So the assessment should be aligned with, these are the features of good assessment. So assessment should be aligned with objectives and outcomes. Means at the beginning of the assessment, the evaluator or the teacher has to have the objective. So what is the outcome? Like that, we have to have an idea. So the assessment should be valid. As example, as we discussed earlier, as example, so the MCQ or multiple choice questions can assess the students. If it is the history lesson, assume that it is the history lesson. So we can use MCQ questions to assess the students' understanding of that type of the lesson. But we cannot use MCQ questions to assess the students' affective domains. Means if it is the, assume that in the environmental science lesson, we talk in the environmental studies in primary students, the teacher discuss about how to protect our environment, how to clean our environment, like that. So with using MCQs, we cannot evaluate or we cannot assess the students how they protect the environment, how they clean the environment. To do that, teacher has to use checklist, or teacher has to take several time period to check the students' behavioral changes. So there, we can't use MCQs. We can use MCQs, but that is not the valid assessment. That is that idea. Assessment should be valid. And also, assessment should be reliable. So that assessment should be reliable, and it should be clear instructions and fair scoring criteria and adequate time limits. That's why when we assess the term test or national level test like O-level, A-level, in the marking, there should be a marking scheme. Without, beyond the marking schemes, the examiners don't mark because of that reliability. Hope you can understand up to that. If there are any questions, please ask me. Regarding assessments or measurements, before moving to the next slide. If there are any questions, please ask. Don't have any questions. So let's move into the next slide. So fourth one is, what is educational evaluation? So when we start in from test, we discuss about measurement, then we discuss about assessments and assessment methods, like that. Then we are the next level is evaluation. That is the highest level. Evaluation, in another words, evaluation is the judgment. It has a wider meaning. It goes beyond measurement and assessment actually. From usual information including measurement and assessment, we make judgment. That is called evaluation. So Tyler defined evaluation as a systematic process of systematic process of determining the extent to which educational objectives are achieved by pupils. Educational objectives are achieved by pupils. So that is actually evaluation is a judgment. Based on assessment, we make judgments. So let's see why evaluation is important. In educational evaluation is important. So it serves a common goal, evaluation. It is diagnostic. It means it aids a teacher in identifying problems and aids in solving problems with students. Please mute your mics. If you want to ask anything, then you can unmute. So Sanji, Priyanka, please mute your mic. Okay, then diagnostic, it means using evaluation, teacher can identify the problems. If there are some problems in the students, if there are some problems in the teaching methodology like that, teacher can diagnose it. So the remedial, using evaluation, teacher can use, if there are some problems, teacher can identify the problems. So teacher can use remedial work. So teacher can use appropriate solutions to find those issues. The development of students' if there are some personality problems in the students, so teacher can do remedial works. If there are some personality problems in the students in the class, so the teacher can do some remedial activities like we can group the students. We can give the leaderships for such type of students like that. That is remedial. And also to make educational goals clear. Using evaluations, we can identify our educational goals. If our lecture or if our learning can touch the educational goal of the objective of the lesson. Actually, all of the objectives should touch the national educational goals and competencies. Therefore, we can make sure our educational goals. Teacher can demonstrate how learners conduct and change through the evaluation. And also it offers guidance. Teacher can provide advices to the students if teacher can have proper evaluation of the students. Assume that teacher can get ideas. Teacher can get a clear idea about using evaluation about the student. So teacher can assist the student after O-level what he or she should be do. Teacher can help to them. Without evaluation, teacher can't do anything. So that is why teacher can offer guidance to the students. And also teacher can guide his or her parents to take that particular students to the correct path with good evaluation. And also the next one is classification aid. So evaluation is a way for teachers to classify their pupils and assist them by determining their intelligence, ability, and interest levels. By determining those classification aids, teacher can Also, assistant teacher can direct the students. It means teacher can, by discussing with the students, teacher can give ideas. And so the son, you can do this side properly. So it is better to do your A levels in commerce side or in math side. So that is better. I think the math side is not good for you like that. Teacher can comment on that, and teacher can assist the students on such type of things using classification aids. And the next importance is beneficial for improving the learning and teaching process. Teacher can enhance the student's personality and learn through evaluation, and he can also know the effectiveness of instruction. So as a result, it aids in enhancing the teaching and learning process. So at the end of the evaluation, so teacher can improve teachers' teaching methodology. Learners can improve learners' methodology, like that. So in all sides, evaluation is beneficial. So let's move into the next slide. Those are the importance of evaluation, especially in educational evaluation. When we talk about different types of educational evaluation, it is same as assessments. If you ask in questions, what are the different types of assessments? Those are formative assessments, summative assessments regarding the occasion of the evaluation, occasion of the assessment, and according to the way of interpreting the results, we can, there are normal reverse assessment, criteria reverse assessment, and ipsative reference assessment. If you ask what are the different types of educational evaluation, also same, there are formative and summative evaluation according to the occasion. According to the interpretation of results, norm reference evaluation, criterion reference evaluation, and ipsative reference evaluation. There should be criterion. I will correct it and send it to you. As we discussed in assessment also, formative means during the lesson we do formative assessments. At the end of the session and at the end of the term, we do summative evaluation. So norm reference means we reference to the group of the people, we evaluate the students. It is like position in the class, like that. So the criterion reference assessment, I told you it is very important assessment. Without a competition, there should be criterion reference assessment. That is because of, regarding the curriculum or learning objectives, learning objectives, we do evaluation. So the ipsative reference evaluation is there we don't use any norm, any reference level, or any criteria. We evaluate the student according to the self development of the student. That is called ipsative reference evaluation. So up to that, are there any questions regarding measurements, assessment, evaluation? It is time to ask. If you have any questions or anything to clarify, please ask. Or if you want to share your ideas, it is time to you. Since no idea, so no questions. So let's move into the next slide. Here, I want to compare the relationship between measurement, assessment, and evaluation. So as we discussed, measurement is collecting numerical data. Based on those data, we assessed, that is interpreting the measured data. So evaluation is analyzing, giving judgments based on assessment. So measurement is quantitative nature. Measurement is by nature, it is quantitative. Assessment is diagnostic. It may be quantitative or qualitative. And evaluation is judgmental by nature. It may be qualitative or most probably it is qualitative. Yes, it is qualitative. So from this example, you can understand that. So the measurement based on, mainly measurements based on cognitive domain, mainly, and the assessment based on cognitive and affective domain. So the evaluation based on all three domains, that is cognitive, affective and psychomotor domain. So the measurement give valid and reliable results. Measurement. So assessment, we can use formative and summative type of assessment, and assessment always ends with evaluation. So evaluation connects with educational goals or educational objectives, curriculum objectives. It connects with that. Let's move into the example. There is a test also. As we discussed in the very first, test is a tool. Measurement is a number. Assessment is interpretation those data from the measurement. And evaluation is the judgment. So as an example, assume, so our test tool is thermometer. So there we take measurement 48. So assume that room temperature is 35. So based on that 35, if our measurement is 48, we assess that 48 is above average level. So our evaluation is, we can evaluate, oh, it is too hot, like that. So our next measurement is 2 Celsius. So based on 35 Celsius room temperature, it is, as our assessment is, it is below average. So our evaluation is, it is very cold. So if there is a question, we have to evaluate 25 Celsius. So based on 35 Celsius, that is also below average. But below average means that is not too cold like 2 Celsius, 25 Celsius. So we can evaluate it as cold, not very cold, but cold. Hope it is clear with this example. Are there any questions? It's time to ask. If you have any questions. This is the summary of our lesson. And with this, when we go to the measurement, there we talk about 4 types of scales: normal, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. And then assessment and evaluation, we talk about when the occasion of the assessment, we discuss about formative and summative. At the interpretation, when we consider the interpretation of the results, we talk about norm reference assessment, criterion reference assessment, and ipsative reference assessment. That is the whole session. That is only you have to remember. That is the basic of this course unit. Educational measurement and evaluation. So let's move into the next slide. Already I have done the summary. First, give your attention to these Venn diagrams. As we discussed, test is a test is the basic one, then measurement, then assessment. Also, teaching is there. Then all together, we can have evaluation. So this is another Venn diagram. Measurement is the basic part. Measurement, measurement is inside assessment, and assessment is inside evaluation. So measurement is assigning numbers to represent how much of a particular quality of a student has demonstrated. And then assessment is the process of gathering information about students' learning and performance. And evaluation is the process of interpreting that information and making judgments about what has been learned. This is the summary. Again, I can give you one chance, 1 minute to ask any question. Ask any question. If you have any questions or if you want to share your ideas, feel free to share your ideas or ask questions. Okay, then this is your individual activity. You can individually you can do this as teachers. Already you are doing so many assessments with students. Assessment means it not be on paper base. Assessment may be sometimes you may want to develop you may want to develop garbage management system in the school, or you may want to create what create medicinal plant beds in the school. Those are some types of test assessments with you can do with the students. By using those activities, you can assess students. So think of that. Think of a special test which you can have done with your students. And if you have done special evaluation on those students based on those marks or test, mention that type of, what are the measurements, what are the measurement scale there, what are the evaluation you did there, and what are the evaluation type, if it is summative, assessment, nominal, criterion based, or ipsative, like that. Yeah, think of that type of measurement or that type of assessments you have done. Or if not, plan a new test which you can do with students and mention this type of measurements, evaluation, and purpose. That is, as the adult learners and as postgraduate and bachelors, you have to always you have to try to be with practical examples and be with practical. Not only paper based, not for the pass the examination, always be practical, then it is easy for your career also, ongoing career. So thank you very much your comment, Shafiq. Welcome. And it is actually your comments are very, very important for me to improve my lecturing style. Actually, thank you very much for your feedback. If there is any question, please ask. So this is the end of my session. I will give these notes and presentation to you during tonight. So then thank you very much for your active participation for the lesson.
Thank you very much, madam.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you. And good night to you all.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.